But now I'm going to get to a game that someone on staff kept calling it poopy. Poopy. This game is poopy. It's bad. It's poopy. And nobody wanted to. Nobody. Could you guys? Do you guys know who that be? Nobody wanted to review this game. So I'm like, well, crap. I'm gonna go ahead and review this game because I'm the only one that's gonna review this. And we need to review. The code's been sitting there, so F it. I'll review it. Boy, was I happy that I reviewed this game because Cassette Beasts right now is my favorite game of the year. Cassette Beasts is
there's no way that I said there's no way I had any opinion about this game.
No, is so fucking perfect in what I'm looking for as a Pokemon player that doesn't like Pokemon, but loves classic like turn-based JRPGs.
Yeah, it still looks poopy.
Dude, I don't care what your thoughts are here, Mr. Negative. This game's phenomenal. There's so much heart in this game. Okay, I'm pulling up my notes right now, which are on my phone. I have like the super long aspect. All right, so you star as this character who appears on this island, just like classic JRPGs, right? You wake up on the shores of this island. No idea how you got there. Everybody you talk to says, "Hey, don't worry about." Like one of my favorite lines in this is, "Don't worry about how this works. It just works. Just enjoy it." Which I'm like, that's awesome. So don't worry about the back end. You don't understand how this works. Just enjoy the game. So you wake up on this island. Everybody else has woken up on this island like over the last several hundred years, and they don't know how they got there, and nobody's been able to leave. So they said, let's build up this town and all live together in harmony. You have people from different eras in this, so it's like you have someone very modern, someone from like medieval Europe, and you got like Japan, you got people from around the world, and it's because of the people want to, the characters want to make everybody sort of feel at home. They let them dress the way they do, which is kind of a cool conceit for the developers to say, we just wanted to throw a bunch of cool assets together and try a bunch of different costumes. So that's the way to do it. But essentially how this game functions is it plays like Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow. You can kind of see the visuals there. Mixed with like old Final Fantasy IV, and mixed with Link's Awakening, because it has all those kind of jammed together. Gorgeous visuals. Like when you're playing it, it's just, I hate to say buttery smooth because it's so cliche, but it's a buttery smooth 60 FPS. Like the visual style is essentially like looking at these little pixel cutouts that are walking on this like what they call that shift, the tilt shift worlds, right? With the camera angles where the back is like blurrier, but they add this little like fog in some areas, which gives you like this early morning feel, but then that fog disappears because there's like nighttime rolls in, so there's like different night and day aspects. And visually, it's so welcoming from that visual aspect. So, all right. The whole premise of this game is you can get this party of characters. It's not necessarily an open world, but there are tons of huge quests and places you can go to. It's open world-ish. You can get your party of a bunch of different characters. Everybody has their own little quests. You go around capturing these creatures. Everything's music-based. And, so you capture the creatures, you turn them into cassettes, and you drop them in your Walkman. And then you put your headphones on and you become, like, there you go. You become the beast, right? That you've captured. Now, the awesome aspect of that is you level up. Your character levels up. The beast doesn't, not unlike Pokemon, the monsters don't level up, which means.
I hate this. It's terrible.
No, in Pokemon, if you level up your character, if you level up your Mon, you're kind of stuck with like, well, shit, I have a level 70 so-and-so. I'm not going to pair it with like 2 level 13s of something. It's like, I don't play that way. If I get my character, my monsters leveled up, I stick with them. In this game, because you're leveling up, whatever monster you bring in adapts to that level. So it really allows you to experiment with all the different monsters. And then things get really cool because I think a few years ago, the developer of this was like, hey, I came up with this cool idea where I can take these different monsters and it like procedurally fuses aspects of them together to create these new beasts. Well, that's what this game is. It'll take like a tail of one monster, so you can fuse your two monsters together. It'll take like aspects of one monster and jam it to aspects of the other, and you can sometimes get these really hideous monsters and abilities, and sometimes you get some that are like really cute, but you never know what you're going to get, which I think is really cool. And it really like, you don't become like super attached to these monsters because of that, right? So it really like encourages you to experiment and develop your team and your monsters and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's really neat. And I think that's something that I don't get from Pokemon games, because my goal in a Pokemon game is to hunt down every single individual monster. And that once I fill out my Pokedex, I'm done. I'm never playing this game again. With a game like this, I can collect a bunch of monsters, and then I start fusing them together. And then next thing I know, I'm like, oh, I found a new monster with new body parts and new abilities. I'm going to fuse that in there, and I'll get something different every time I do it. And it's so refreshing. And yeah, I love monster cruelty, as the people say. It's so refreshing, and it's so kind of joyful in that aspect that it really makes me like, it rekindles my love of monster hunting and like Pokemoning in a way. And I think that to me is awesome, because again, I've been playing all the latest Pokemons, and it's like, all right, go collect monsters and fight raids and blah 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 blah. That's it, done. Story's over with. It's in a school this time, yada yada. With this, like I said, because it captures those classic the aspects of those games that I loved early on, it hits perfectly. And I think it's like, if you're someone in your 30s or 40s who grew up with the original Pokemon and you kind of shied away because they haven't evolved over the years, something like this nails it, because again, it activates like, oh shit, Zelda's in this, Pokemon's in this, Final Fantasy's in this, Dragon Quest is in.
But I want to be friends with the monsters. I don't want procedurally generated monsters. Gengar is my friend, and he's big and strong.
There you go. But you can make your own monsters. So I think there's so much originality and heartness. And one of the other really
NFTs work. You're just playing an NFT game.
There's so much like love that this game is oozing. It's esoteric, but the music side of it, because there's a whole big music aspect. Obviously, Cassette Beasts, they're stuck in cassettes. Again, they tell you, don't worry why this works or how it works, just go with the flow. So you pop your cassette in. Your battles are basically like a Walkman. So there's like play, pause, stop, record, and each of those are related to the different like motions and stuff you can do and actions you can do in battles. I think that's really cool. Play obviously is attack, pause, stop, like lets you flip out different animals or monsters and stuff. And then during these battles, because you have a team of people on your side in your party, each of them can have their own skill sets, their own monsters, and that kind of stuff. And you essentially have two life bars. Like you have the monster life bar, which I think is in red, and you have your own personal one, which is green. And when the monster life bar gets knocked out, then then it goes back to you, and you got to kind of choose a new monster to put in there before your life bar gets knocked down. So I think that aspect is really cool. And Pokemon games feel like work. You're going out to hunt to like capture these monsters. Nothing in this game feels like work. Like this game feels like exploration and fun. And it's like, I really want to go back. I'm like, again, this is another game where I'm right at the end game. There are moments in this where some of these quests have been so touching that, not that they brought a tear to my eye or anything like that, but I'm like, oh shit, that was a really honest and earnest resolution to this character's story arc. And I'm like, wow, that's more than satisfying. Like that, there are aspects that will like stick with me from this game. And it's not a long game. It's like, I don't know, it's like a shorter game. I don't know. I'm not exact. I'll have to take a look at how many hours I put into it, but it's pretty affordable too. But great visuals. It's moody pixels, which is kind of what I call it. And then the music is just phenomenal. There are like vocals in the music in the overworld in a lot of aspects, and you kind of just want to sit and listen to the music. And that's what I did for like once I cleared out the first like 2 major areas and took away some of the bosses, they're like mini bosses and like trains and other shit that you can do, mines. But once I cleared out like a few of the first major bosses, like I just stopped and just listened to the soundtrack in the overworld because it was so freaking nice and calming to hear vocals in a game. And oh god, I'm in love with this game. It's the Ted Lasso of monster ranching RPGs, and I can't. There's just so much greatness in this game. I will say the only annoyance I have is when you're walking around, like the action button when you just kind of walk around the overworld and in towns and stuff. To interact with something, you press X, like if you're talking to someone or whatever. But then to advance any of the text that pops up, you hit A. So it's like you have to kind of, and then to back out, you hit B. So you're kind of finger fumbling a little bit. So I think that the some of the controls need a little work, but I'll have to see if I can remap some of this stuff. But like the base controls have you kind of pushing the wrong buttons, or at least it feels like in a way. But I love this game. If you're a child of the 80s and 90s and maybe even the early 2000s with RPGs and Pokemon and Zelda, I think this game is just absolutely perfect from that aspect. And yeah, it is probably my favorite game that I've played in this year so far. It's a short year so far, but man, there's just so much to love. Like that, it just created a cool, weird looking beast with speakers for bass for arms, and I think that's subs for. I think that's awesome. So yeah, Cassette Beasts, man, so charming, so good. I cannot recommend this game highly enough. It's on my short list. Love it.